example, just to give some examples for it. In, I think, the late 80s or the early 90s, I think it was around that time when Arsenal had a core of black players playing. I think
young players,
Paul Davis, David Rocastle, and KC, of course, and then came Ian Wright afterwards. What made it possible for the club to do that? I mean, in times where there were stupid, racist ideas everywhere, what made it possible for the club to have that is the people inside the stadium, the people who support the club, who were inclusive, who were open-minded, who were against anything that is racist. So that made it a suitable environment for the club to be inclusive and be that kind of classy club. But people keep attaching, I mean, basically what I'm trying to say is it's not the people in charge who define the class of the club or how the club behaves. It's us as fans. So if we let the club behave in a certain way, that's on us as fans. If we see the club doing something that we don't define as class, we don't define as the right thing to do, and we're silent. I think it's different now because there are no fans in the stadium, and you only see the fans online, and you see the fans arguing online, and you see people posting stuff that you'd never imagine Arsenal fans would be saying or calling other, like people abusing Xhaka and his wife, people abusing Arteta online. If you're in the stadium, these people would be not ejected by stewards, but ejected by the people themselves, by the community of the club, which are the supporters. Not ejected, like carried out, but if you're a racist person and you stand up and start shouting racist slurs in the Emirates Stadium, you will not find anyone agreeing with you. You will, with time, you'll be just someone crying into thin air, and then you will decide to leave because this is not a racist place. I can't say here. I have to leave. So this is what I mean, that we define how the club behaves. What do you think of that, KC, given the club has mismanaged several topics without going into details, but we've mismanaged lots of topics in the last, I would say, 3 or 4 years, how we behave as a club in general?
Well, Ahmed, what I will say is, back in the day, I mean, I first went to Highbury in 1977. Princess Gooner, PG, went there probably before that as a baby girl. I went there and I was gobsmacked. I come from Brixton, which is predominantly black area. So I traveled with my friends and we went up to Arsenal. And to see the multicultural fan base go into the game, I was like shocked, because I was thinking, wow, we're going to go up to Arsenal and it's going to be, all white people there. I didn't really know. You see on Match of the Day and you see mostly white faces, or mainly white faces. But I went up there in 1977 and I saw black faces. I saw different colors, different creeds, different nationalities, all there supporting one thing, which is Arsenal, which I thought was absolutely brilliant. So I thought, I supported Arsenal before. That made me even fall in love more with the club because it was a multicultural environment. When you get to be playing for the club, Arsenal have a big scouting network in London and a massive scouting network in South London, where I'm from. So the likes of Paul Davis, David Rocastle, Michael Thomas, myself, David Hillier, we came all from South London. Obviously, Emil Smith-Rowe's from South London now. That part of Arsenal is so important because having a core of London boys is important because that's what drives the club. But you see, what tends to happen is things start to change and our fan base changes with the environment that football becomes. When we leave Highbury and we go to the Emirates, everything changes. The identity of the football club, which was a lot of homegrown players, and then a lot of foreign players who bought into the mentality of trying to be the best. That's why we were the best. Once that changes, you see different players start to get bought into the team. The team changes. Before we were a big side. You look at the last title winning side, they could handle themselves physically as well as tactically. You look at the Cesc Fabregas team, etc. Very good technically, But what did teams used to do? Teams used to come and bully us. And as soon as they started to bully us, we couldn't handle it. But that was under Wenger's watch. So things change. And then social media takes over. So you've got this, Arsenal were very good. Arsenal start to come down a few levels, and then social media kicks in when we're not at that level. Social media starts chipping away here where we win an FA Cup, it papers a crack. We win an FA Cup, it papers a crack. But in all these 17, 16 years, Ahmed, we haven't been consistent in the league. We haven't. And over the last 4 years, we haven't even qualified for the Champions League. So what gives anybody the right to think we're going to qualify all of a sudden because we changed the manager here, we changed the manager there? It's not going to happen. And that's why the fan base can't accept, because they used to be being winners, and the fan base cannot take it. It's sad, but it's true. It's difficult for us as Arsenal fans to take, because we're not as good as we once were.
I think frustration is a huge part of it. Can you imagine the environment in the stadium if fans were in the stadium now?
Oh yeah, it'd be toxic, absolutely toxic.